every speaker on both days. Please do not do that again. Thank you. Tomas, thank you for your patience. Please continue.
I'm afraid we're going to be kicked out of our home. There's a lot of violence happening here, and it just seems like the owners of these houses, they're the ones who make the money, and we don't get anything.
He also continued and said that this woman was being displaced and she has 4 kids. We have a question. Why do we take people to the streets? We came from the streets. We are from the streets, and now we're gonna go back to the streets. We wanted to have a home before, but we can't do that. We can't count on you. How much do you all make? How come you guys can't help us? How about you come to the streets where we live and see what that's like?
Tomas, Vanessa, thank you. And please stay close. We appreciate you both. And now the woman had one other person with her. I didn't catch her name, but please let's have that other person in the room where you are speak. And when they start speaking, they will have up to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, hello. My name is Roberto Flores, and I can speak English also. So we've been fighting Caltrans and all their injustices and inequities for the last 60 years. And I lived in a Caltrans house. Caltrans started charging 10% rent hikes every 6 months. 10% rent hikes every 6 months. My wife and I had to leave the Caltrans house because it got to be more expensive than the inflated market. And so we're not new to Caltrans inequities, and we want to urge you to please listen and pay attention. This eviction that occurred, this woman was struggling with mental health issues and with 4 children. She had gotten her children back. She was focusing on that, getting herself ready, and they evicted her. Transitional housing does not work. Transitional housing, it cannot fit all sizes and all situations. There are different situations, and that's the definition of equity to those what they need, not to everyone something equal. There's some people that need more. And so there were 12 people arrested the day before yesterday. And the sheriffs came in with guns, pulled out rifles, and for peaceful protesters that can see the inequity and injustice. Please listen to what we're saying. We'll be coming to your meetings every single time to implore you to start listening. Thank you so much.
Mr. Flores, thank you for joining us and participating. Are there other online speakers?
Yes, we have one other virtual attendee with their hand raised at this time. I'd like to call on Michelle Harvey. Michelle Harvey, you are free to mute yourself at this time and make your comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi there. I support the El Sereno Community Group because I'm a civil engineer who used to work for the federal government, the Federal Highway Administration. I understand the issues with Caltrans and, what they did to obtain property to build. But now that that property is to be made available to the people, it seems only right that it's given to the El Sereno Community Land Trust because they have a plan to combat homelessness. Rolling Stone magazine on December 18th, 2023, did an article about it. The quote of the article was, "Developers bungle Newsom's affordable housing program." And it detailed how city managers don't practice due diligence and don't know how to find the money to how to regulate the money. And the money was stolen. Hundreds of millions of dollars was given for housing programs that was given to developers who were in bankruptcy and other things. The El Sereno Community Group has a proven track record of working with the community and doing what it can to help house the homeless. As someone who's been on disability since I was 32 years old, I'm now 68. I understand the difficulty of receiving affordable housing because my housing has been raised $800 since I've been in LA in 8 years. There is no such thing as affordable housing, and when Caltrans says they're going to sell things at market rate to create affordable housing, that is not real.
And your
Affordable
time is,
housing doesn't exist in
Michelle,
LA. I had to
Michelle,
take people to
Mich-
to
Michelle,
Pomona
thank you,
for
but your
housing.
time is up.
I understand, but I support
Thank
the El
you.
Sereno group. Thank you very much because they know what
Thank
to
you,
do
Michelle.
for housing.
We have another speaker, but our executive director also would like to comment. I would prefer that too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Executive Director Taylor.
Thank you.
We believe we have one more online speaker.
Yes, at this time, we have one more attendee with their hand raised. I'd like to call on Martha Escudero.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Oh, okay. Hello. I am Marta Escudero. I'm part of Reclaiming Our Homes and also in Sereno Community Land Trust. And I'm also advocating for these houses to go to the Sereno Community Land Trust because to like prevent gentrification and take it out of the speculative market and have housing to be affordable finally in Los Angeles. Like others said, the Caltrans has had these houses abandoned for so many years. To me, that's really immoral and inhumane. And also the HACLA program that's supposed to be housing people, how they just threw this single mom of four to the streets was really despicable. And sometimes it takes more than 2 years to get your life together, especially when rent is still the same and salaries are very low. As a single mom myself, it's hard to find even housing that'll take you with your kids, especially if you have pets. So we want community to feel safe and comfortable. Pets are often our family and our comfort when we have anxiety and stress. And this is not the way to treat people. And I was also the mom that was arrested trying to help this other mom out, and experiencing that type of state violence for a basic need such as housing was really traumatizing. I feel we all as human beings need to do more and step up to humanize the housing market, to have it in communities' hands, because developers do not care about people, they care about profit. And so that's all I have to say. And I really hope you all take this in consideration and advocate for people and not profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Are there any other online speakers?
Not seeing any others at this time.
Great. Thank you. Executive Director Taylor.
Thank you. I want to take just a few minutes to acknowledge the feedback that we've heard from the members in the room, the members online. But I also want to acknowledge what this commission's authority is. And when we hear from the public that we are hearing from, many and most of the concerns are under the authority for the Housing Authority for the City of LA. We have no authority there, unfortunately. The item before us is to approve the sale of a Roberti property to an existing tenant at fair market value. It is consistent with the Roberti Act. It follows the waterfall that we have talked about. We've heard many and much passionate testimony. We've heard last meeting, we will hear again next meeting, the challenges of the reality of what is happening on the ground in the 710 properties. But I have to remind us all that the law has a very specific waterfall. It has a very specific process. And in this case, we are selling to an existing tenant. We are selling to the person that is living there.
Executive Director Taylor, thank you again for your expertise. and for always reminding us what our role and responsibility and authority is on any given item. With that, I want to open it up to our colleague commissioners. If you have questions, comments, of course, but also this is an action item. So we would also be looking for a motion one way or the other. Vice Chair Grisby.
Thank you, Chair Gordino. You know, these sort of issues really impact me a lot, and I'm sure it does for everyone here. The specter of homelessness and being home insecure is a major issue for our country, our state. Despite the fact that we have a booming national economy, one of the best developed economies in the entire world right now in terms of growth, millions of people being left behind. We have massive income inequality. So there is a need to refresh our American institutions for this moment. But as our executive director just said, I think our responsibilities are clear in this situation. Thank you. And for that reason, I'd like to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Vice Chair Grisby, thank you. Past Chair Eager, thank you. We have a motion and a second. I want to make sure, just as we did with our online and in the room speakers, that all voices do have a chance to be heard on such a difficult topic. So commissioners, before we vote, there is an opportunity. If anyone would like to speak, Commissioner Bradshaw, I see your light on.
Yeah. Adonia, did you want to go first? I saw your hand. I saw Commissioner Lugo's hand up.
Thank you,
Oh, sure.
Commissioner.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. A couple of things. When I first met with the reclaimers in 2022, they asked for a coordination meeting that would include all of the relevant agencies here. So City of LA, Caltrans, CTC, and I got, a lot of great information from commission staff and from Caltrans staff, but was not able to find consensus that that table should be created. And I just want to say that we're going to continue to hear about this as long as we don't come up with some sort of coordinated plan for this housing. I understand that there are very clear regulations in place for how we dispose of these individual properties. However, in the aggregate, 400 properties is a significant amount of land. It's a significant area. And because Caltrans has created a vacuum in terms of having a vision for what happens overall with this housing being disposed of, we find that community has stepped up. El Sereno Community Land Trust exists because of community members seeing a need for leadership around what we're going to do with this housing. And as long as we continue to say that we can only deal with these properties on an individual basis, we're going to continue to run into this tension because community knows better. Community understands that, these are planning agencies. They know how to plan. They know how to coordinate. Isn't this a role that that could be played here? And so I really just want to urge Caltrans and HACLA and, in the limited capacity that CTC is involved here, what can we do to have a community engagement plan and vision for what is happening in El Sereno, South Pasadena, and Pasadena in the 710 housing corridor? And that the waterfalls play a role in that, but there's something bigger than the 3 waterfalls here. And, people are reacting to that. And as long as we continue to deny it, they're going to have to keep showing up and getting their voices heard. The other question I have is around California Highway Patrol's involvement in the eviction this week. And if this is being handled as a matter in the jurisdiction of the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, why was CHP part of the eviction? That's what I saw reported in the media. So I just have some questions about that. Did Caltrans authorize the eviction to move forward? What was the conversation between HACLA and Caltrans? Since Caltrans is the owner of the land, HACLA is on contract to manage the leases.
Mr. Kiefer, thank you for stepping up to the microphone.
Yeah, thank you. And Commissioner Lugo, thank you for the question. So these are still Caltrans properties. And so the eviction was initiated by HACLA, and the eviction was completed, but there are individuals that then went and occupied the homes afterward. And as a result, because there are Caltrans properties, so that made them state properties. So the law enforcement jurisdiction was with the California Highway Patrol.
Forgive me, colleagues. I needed to grab something from my throat. Mr. Kiefer, did I interrupt you? Did you have more that you wanted to share? Great. Good. Was there? Okay. Other commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Bradshaw.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And I wanna echo a lot of what Commissioner Lugo said. I mean, I want the folks from the struggle, if I may say it that way, to know that there's empathy here. There's a couple tension points, I would say, in what authority is of the commission here, and but what the process is. But I want you to know that, or ask you to understand that I hear you. This may give me a little bit of trouble. Maybe wouldn't be the first time. I know what it feels like when it's too tight, right? I get that. Housing in my day job is the #1 priority we're driving on. So empathy there. I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods. I feel that we are limited when it gets to us in this process. It's salient point and question about involvement, not convicting anybody, but when I hear there's large groups of law enforcement and any kind of protest, I believe it's worth a pretty strong look at that. Again, I wasn't there, don't claim to have been there, but don't have the authority here to make that happen. But I would say that it's worth a look, and I appreciate you sharing the experience. When this similar issue came up again at an earlier commission meeting, had some conversation. It's good to hear you, Michael, here live time. I appreciate it. One of the things that had come up before was that for Caltrans and the authority there to be clear and concise on the process. I'm always grateful to Executive Director Taylor for really illuminating me and educating me on what our role is in authority. But for Caltrans, sometimes I think the message gets lost. So, I'm probably rambling now, but just wanted to say that I encourage you for, standing up, right? Fighting for what you think is right. And, the housing situation in our state is tipping our people over. So I don't know all the facts and all that. And I know there really isn't anything we can do to fix it today, but it is worth this. It's one of the public forums, the civic square, if you like. It's good to have these conversations out in the open and in the oxygen. Thank you, Brother Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradshaw. I'm told that we may have 2 other speakers who have not yet spoke. Again, if it's people who have not yet spoke, we're going to go ahead, even though we've already started the process of a vote on the dais. So go ahead, and Justin, please open the line.
Yes, we did receive 2 additional requests from those who have not yet spoken. So I'd like to first call on Joseph Dominiquez.
Hi, Board of Chambers. Thank you guys for, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So just adding perspective, my name is Joseph Dominguez. I grew up in Alhambra, which is just a neighboring city next to El Sereno. Grew up there for many years. I also worked in homeless services in the area as well. I've outreached many unhoused folks around El Sereno, across all of Northeast LA. And now I work in supportive housing development. So trying to really add in perspective around, the situation. I have familiarity with working with housing authorities, City of Los Angeles and LA County. So knowing that the partnership that Caltrans had and the contract agreement that they had with HOCLA, turning the properties that Caltrans owns basically into transitional crisis housing. I understand how these programs work, and I know the folks that need these resources and the challenges they go through with trying to keep up with rent, trying to keep up with just basic contract paperwork stuff. So what we're saying is, right, and I'm speaking in solidarity with El Sereno Community Land Trust and a lot of community members that are just quite honestly tired, is to look outside of these already business as usual relationships. I think El Sereno Community Land Trust, I'm part of another community land trust. I think these are a way for communities to retain housing and support our economic development here. So see how Caltrans can, and your organization, how you can think more broadly, think more alternatively, because as working for homeless services for years, community land trusts are the solution, and we need to support community voices. Thank you.
Mr. Dominguez, thank you for calling in. And we believe we have one more online speaker, Justin.
Yes, thank you. Up next, I'd like to call on Cecilia Lopez.
Yes, my name is Cecilia Lopez, and I am one of the reclaimers. Since we acquired these homes 4 years ago, at the moment, we did not have any other choice that was given to us. When the governor asked for everyone to go on lockdown, where were the homeless going to go lockdown to? We really had no choice. But since then, we proved to be good tenants. We paid our rent. We continuously have given back to the community. I was born here in El Sereno also. And most of us would like to continue staying here in El Sereno. We've already, acknowledged how the system works, and we're trying to work with the system, but no one is acknowledging what the community needs, and as far as that goes, just like our leases are up, any lease can be changed, and for some reason or other, we're not giving that opportunity, even though we've proved to be good tenants and good neighbors. We've even got letters from all our neighbors. We even have a Saturday food giveaway that we give away on Saturdays. There's no reason for us to be housed, then unhoused. Even HOCLA has taken off Section 8 if and when we are evicted. So where does that leave us again? Homeless? Otherwise, the land trust, but no one wants to acknowledge that either. It would be great if the governor could step in like he did in the beginning and allow us to stay. Anyone is welcome to come to my home and see that I've even improved my home better than it was. I give back to the community myself with all my neighbors.
Ms. Lopez, your time is.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. We have a motion and a second that is on the floor. Thank you, Vice Chair Grisby and Chair Eager. Yes, of course, Executive Director Taylor.
Thank you. One additional statement that I want to add as we continue this conversation over multiple meetings. We will have the same individuals come and talk to us. It is a very challenging issue, as I've spoken before, but I want to make sure that we all understand that the largest challenge here for our agency and Caltrans is the law. Some of these solutions that are being offered or requested from our commissioners from our stakeholders would require legislation to implement. And so that would take even longer in terms of some of the solutions that we're thinking about. And so I want to make sure that we're clear that some of these things are outside of our control at this point. Some of these things are within our control, such as the property that is for sale today before us.
Thank you, Executive Director Taylor. We are going to go ahead with our vote. First, all in favor of the motion, please
Aye.
say aye.
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 And opposed? And abstentions? Okay, that appears to have passed unanimously. Thank you on a very difficult issue. We are going to move on to agenda item 87, which is also an action item, and we're going to look at 87 through 91 together. Kayla? Welcome, Kayla. No, you're pointing at someone else. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for any confusion that I'm going to take 87. And if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and take 87 through 109 together.
Through 109. Okay. Without objection, please continue.
Thank you. Commissioners, tabs 87 through 91 are all action items for initial allocations that exceed the program amount by more than 20%. These allocations total $151,767,000 and include both shop and non-shop funded projects for a variety of project phases. Tabs 92 through 109 are all action items for supplemental funds. There are 5 capital outlay support supplementals, 6 supplementals to award, 7 supplementals to complete construction, which results in a total increase of supplemental funds in the amount of just over $30.2 million for both shop and non-shop projects. Staff continues to work with Caltrans to better understand the basis of the requested supplemental funds for tab 92 to allow for Caltrans to continue working on this phase while also working to provide additional detail to CTC staff on the overall request. Staff recommends approving $200,000 instead of the requested $2,030,000. A request for additional funding to complete this phase will be considered at a future commission meeting. So staff has reviewed the projects and the book items, including the yellow replacement book items identified on the change list. And staff recommends approval for tabs, let me make sure I get this right, 87 through 109, with the request for tab 92 being reduced to $200,000.
Which means that would need to be part of our motion as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sobelman. First of all, do we have anyone online who would like to address any of these items?
I don't see any requests online to comment on any of the current items.
Thank you, Justin. Any in the room? Not seeing any cards. Good. Commissioners, I saw past Chair Eager's mic and Commissioner Bradshaw's mic.
Just really quickly, I had a question on 102, and I think I asked it before, but I don't think I got a good answer. In reading through that, it looked like there was a request for 800,000 to approve contract change orders or to analyze contract change orders. That number seems like a lot just to look over contract change orders. But if there's that much to do that, how many changes must there have been and what happened to that contract?
So Commissioner Eager, Dave Moore, District 2 Director. Just to comment on that, I think it got taken not a little bit out of context, but we didn't explain it very well, I think, in the book item. So yes, of the $1.4 million that we requested additional construction support, 800,000 of it is actually going to be used for support offices, our design offices, and other offices that support our construction staff and not actually our construction staff out there in the field. A lot of that work is associated with change orders on facility projects. Whenever we make changes out there to the facility projects, that information has to go back to our design office, and there's different Specialty offices, they have to look at those changes to make sure the electrical, water, sewer, everything lines up and according to building codes and all those things. The other thing that we didn't really reflect well in that, part of that 800,000 is for ongoing support to construction outside of the CCOs, in addition to the CCOs, where we basically had underfunded that component for that office staff for the life of the construction contract. So when you look at the overall percentages that we're asking for, it's actually, if you look at the total support cost for the construction phase, it's much less than actually what we've achieved on many other facilities projects out there. So that pointed back that we didn't resource it enough up front. There are right now 32 change orders on that project. Most of them are pretty small in nature and construction value, but it takes a lot of staff time to ultimately deal with those out there.
Thank you. And
the other
that
thing
is better.
I know this is an ongoing issue and
Yes.
stuff, and I think it could make a good workshop topic at some point,
Yeah.
talking about our role and responsibility in delivering facility projects. It may be different than the private sector or other local agencies out there when we also are responsible for, building codes and those kinds of things, because we don't, we go through the state fire marshal's office and not necessarily a county building department.
That's a great idea. We're going to write that down, right, Tanisha? Okay, workshop on how can we do these manufacturing facilities or these facilities better, right? Maintenance facilities. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Past Chair Eager. We're going to hear from Commissioner Bradshaw and Commissioner Cruz.
I was going to move to approve with the amendment, so I'll
Please
defer
do.
to Commissioner Cruz. He may have comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradshaw. Just real quick, it's just in reference to tab number 104. And I'm always intrigued by CMGC because I remember when these bills were brought up in the legislature, I was somewhat critical at the time of using this alternative project delivery method. But it was sold to me and to many of us who worked at the time and on these bills that it was going to be more efficient as far as project delivery and then would save costs and reduce costs for projects. And I guess the question to Caltrans as we look at these projects as a whole, at some point, will there be an opportunity to really measure how cost effective they are and if they really are delivering more efficiency? And if they are, great, but I think at some point we have to look at to see if that's the case.
And I would suggest that could be another future workshop item. We'd be glad to come back and talk about that because we are monitoring these exactly for that. Commissioner Grips.
And I noticed Timothy Sobelman smile because he helps put together those workshops. Thank you. Commissioner Bradshaw, thank you for your thoughtfulness. And it sounded like you would like to make a motion.
Yeah, I'll move for approval with the recommended amendment.
I'll second.
And the approval of all the items, correct?
All items. Yeah,
Correct.
all items.
So the motion and the second are to move approval of all those items with the recommended staff amendment. Does that capture it, Timothy?
I'm happy with that.
Great, good. Further discussion by commissioners? Looking at my phone, the screen, and on the dais, I'm not seeing any. With that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, Timothy. Well done. We're going to local partnership formulaic program amendment, item 110. And I believe the presentation will be virtual.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, commissioners. Tab 110 is an action item to amend the local partnership formulaic program. The two recommended amendments will add the replace 38 diesel buses with zero emission buses project in San Mateo County with $1,515,000 in programming. It will also add the 2024 annual pavement rehabilitation project in Contra Costa County with $1,200,000 in programming. This action leaves $95 million of the 2022 Local Partnership Formulaic Program funding available for programming through June 30, 2026. Staff has reviewed these program amendment requests and found them to be consistent with the formulaic program guidelines and policies. Staff recommends your approval of tab 110.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. Second, if you saw the movement on the dais, we have to maintain our quorum to vote. And even though our two colleagues stepped just through that door and the commission hearing is actually broadcast where they went, we need them back out here before we can have a motion, second, or vote. So I'm going to look for clarification. Can we have any questions to the staff? Okay, we have a quorum. Thanks for your patience. This may be a really quick motion under the circumstances. Motion by Commissioner Cruz, second by Commissioner Bradshaw. Any comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? People who need to have a 5-minute break to run out of here. Okay, we're going to take a 3-minute break. Okay, 5-minute break. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you. Thank you all. It's 3:17. We're starting again at 3:22. Yeah.
Having to block people out.
I know. And I'm not. Welcome back. I hope stretching your legs and your minds has been helpful. It is 3:22. We are going to start again, and we're having a contest. How many people think that my voice will hold up throughout the entire hearing? Hey, thank you. We're gonna find out together. Good stuff. We have a quorum. We're going to get started, and we want to thank you all for your patience and your participation, both in the room and online. With that, we're going to item 111, TSAP, one of my favorite acronyms. And is Kenneth Lopez joining us virtually?
Yes, right here.
Excellent. Kenneth, thank you. We are reconvened and starting.
Commissioners, tab 111 is an action item to approve a project amendment to modify the scope for the San Onofre to Pulgas Double Track Phase 2 project on the Los San corridor in San Diego County. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends your approval.
That was your entire report? You were,
That
oh
was
my
the entire
gosh, you're
report, yes.
spoiling us. Okay, we're gonna have a vote. We're voting. How many of us would like Kenneth to do all the reports? All right. Motion second, it's done. All right, is there any speakers online?
There's not.
Great, we're getting silly. Is there anyone in the room? Yes, but is there anyone in the room who would like to speak to this item? Seeing no one, good. Commissioners, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Tiffany and also Cruz, but a really quick button by Commissioner Lugo. Any further discussion? Let's move forward. All those in favor of, okay, all those opposed, abstentions, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We're taking tabs 112 and 113 together, solutions for congested corridors. We have Naveen Habib.
Yes. that is
Naveen, no
me.
pressure, but Kenneth was pretty quick.
Ken's fancy that way. I'm not that fancy. So tabs 112 and 113 are action items. I do have to present them slightly separately, but you can vote on them together because of a very particular reason, and you'll see why very shortly. Tab 112 is an action item to approve a program amendment to the 2020 Solutions for Congested Corridors program. This program amendment would split the original Interstate 105 Express Lanes construction project component into 4 components as provided in the book item. These changes will ensure timely tracking, reporting, and delivery for this project. Tab 113 is an action item to approve an amendment to the 2020 Solutions for Congested Corridors program baseline agreement for the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority's Interstate 105 Express Lanes project. This project was programmed for $150 million, and the approval of tab 112 is contingent for this particular item to also be approved. So that's why I had to present that one first. And that's why it necessitated an amendment to the original baseline agreement that was approved by the commission in October 2021 for this project. Both requests are consistent with the program guidelines, and the program amendment was approved by the commission just now, hopefully. And so I recommend your approval for both tabs 112 and 113.
Naveen, thank you. The request from staff is for approval of both tabs 112 and 113. Thank you for the explanation. What's the will of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by past Chair Eager, a second by Vice Chair Grisby. Any discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions. That passes unanimously. Moving on to Active Transportation Program 114 and 115. Lori Waters, this looks like we're voting together, but with Lori presenting 114 and Beverly Newman Burkhardt presenting 115. Lori is doing them both. Okay, great.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tabs 14 and 15, I will present them together, followed by one vote. Tab 114 is an action item to consider an active transportation program scope amendment for the Jehu Corridor and Eucalyptus Avenue Bike Path Project in San Bernardino County. This project was programmed in the statewide component of Cycle 4 of the ATP for $2.7 million in ATP funds. The original scope included an approximate 1 mile long Class 1 bike path serving 4 schools in West Colton. This project will provide a safer path of travel for students and residents. The book item details all the individual items being changed on this project, but the main revision will be replacing the Class 1 bike path with a buffered Class 2 bike lane. During the environmental phase, the original alignment for the multi-use path along the Jehu corridor was determined to be a potential habitat for the Delhi Sands flower-loving fly, a federally listed endangered species. The potential presence of the Delhi sandfly requires 2 years of additional surveys, and if the fly is found, the city would have to complete a mitigation plan that would take additional few years. This additional environmental work would cause the project to not meet their timely use of funds deadlines, and the project would lapse. Instead, the city proposes a new alignment to avoid the Jehu corridor and install new Class 2 buffered bike lanes and ADA ramp improvements. This change will not have an impact to pedestrians because there are already existing sidewalks on the corridor. For bicyclists, the Class 2 buffered bike lane will connect into existing Class 2 bike lanes, creating a seamless biking corridor. In addition, the city will install additional crossing improvements and lighting. Caltrans performed an engineering assessment of the updated scope and has determined that the changes will essentially retain the benefits of the projects as compared to the original scope. Commission staff agrees with this assessment and believes that the updated scope fulfills the intent of the original project submitted by the city of Colton. Tab 115 is an action item to consider an ATP funding distribution change to amend the City of La Puente's Safe Routes for Students Improvement Project in Los Angeles County to move $300,000 from the plan specifications and estimates phase and $25,000 from the right-of-way phase currently programmed in fiscal year 24-25 to the construction phase programmed in fiscal year 25-26. Staff recommends approving tabs 114 and 115 as presented.
Lori Waters, thank you. Discussion or a motion on 114 and 115?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Grisby.
Second.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Past Chair Eager is helping me out. We're going to recognize the second by Commissioner Bradshaw, but my mistake, I forgot to ask if there were comments on this item. Thank you.
We did not receive any request to comment on this item.
Okay, good. And in the room, I'm resisting the urge to say nana, 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 because you were correct. Actually, how many of us thought that Lori Waters made up the name of that fly? Okay, but no, there was more to it. Could you repeat the name?
Delhi Sands flower loving fly.
The Delhi
flowers.
Sands flower loving fly. By the way, saying it is longer than the life of that fly. No, I should not minimize that, and that was not polite. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Colleague commissioners virtually as well as in the room, any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, then we are going to take a vote. All those in favor of 114 and 115?
Aye.
And all those opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously for the Delhi Sands flower loving fly. Moving on. Oh, really? I love it. Okay, thank you. We are moving on to shop allocations and item 116, John Prey.
Yeah, we're moving on to much more than just shop allocations. We're going to take all of the allocations under tabs 116 through 141 together, with the exception of tabs 133, 134, and 135. Those will be taken separately afterwards. We are taking 116 through 141, with the exception of 133, 134, and 135. Yep. There, please note there are changes on the change list for tabs 116 and 132. Staff has reviewed these allocation requests and recommends approval, one more time, of tabs 116 through 132 and 136 through 141.
Excellent. First of all, John, bless you. Well done in looping those items. We appreciate it, but we also don't want to rush anything if there's comments. Are there any questions or comments online?
I do not see any request from our virtual attendees to comment on these items.
Thank you. Not online, but in the room, we do. Carl Holmes, welcome. It's good to, oh, and you're commenting on two items, so there's two different cards. Are you, we can give you 2 minutes for each. We'll leave that up to you. But it's good to see you again. You spell your name correctly with a C. The floor is yours. Oh, Carl Anderson protests. We have a Carl quorum in the room. That's very rare. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Carl Gardino, spelled correctly. Thank you, Vice Chair Grisby, past Chair Eager, Executive Director Taylor, Commissioners. I will speak on both and we'll attempt to do it within the 2 minutes for one. So tab 124, that is for 2.6 million for Hillcrest. And what that does, it allows for us to be efficient with our work and accommodate for a future project, which is tab 126, which we just got cleared for environmental. And we are hoping to proceed with design depending on the action of 126. But we have a section of the roadway on Yerba Buena Island, AKA Treasure Island, closed off. And so this allows us to make use of that closure and not have residents, visitors, commuters to experience disruption if we have to widen the roadway in the multi-use path. I say widen, but it's accommodate for the future bicycle and pedestrian class 1. That's the future, which is tab 126. Tab 124, at the end of that project, it'll be a class 2 bicycle facility. I paid attention to the questions earlier today and yesterday. But ultimately between tabs 124 and 126, we will have a class 1 bicycle facility. Tab 126, we're hoping to advance the design. That will take another 2 years. But tab 124, if we are successful in getting board approval, we will be able to seek our own board approval to award a contract and get started this year. And we hope to be able to invite you all to a future groundbreaking ceremony. I want to thank Caltrans, particularly Duan Nguyen and some of his staff on the coordination in Hillcrest, as well as with Multi-Use Path. But I also want to thank MTC, including Carl Anderson and Kenny Cow and some of their staff in getting us to where we collectively and collaboratively found a way to, we think, be efficient as good stewards of public funds and making use of the roadway closure that we have. And so with that, I'll turn it back to you. Sorry, I went over on the 4 minutes. I'll yield back a minute and a half, minute 20.
Carl Holmes, thank you. And in our enjoying each other for a moment, I don't think Carl had a chance to say he's with the San Francisco County Transportation Authority.
Yes, sorry, San Francisco County Transportation Authority. I'm Deputy Director for Capital Projects, reporting to Tilly Chang. Sorry for the lack of introduction.
Thank you. Oh, great. So we're going to see if we have comments online.
Do not see any request to comment from our virtual attendees.
Great. And any other comments in the room? Seeing none, we're turning it over to our commissioners. Yes, Vice Chair Grisby and Commissioner Bradshaw.
Yeah, I just wanted to, perhaps if you could come back up, what's the name? Carl, that's right. Yeah. Carla, could you come back up for a quick second?
Did you really say what's his name?
It's
After
late in the
all
day.
that.
I should have gotten caffeine instead of caffeine. Hey, like was said, it's from the audience, these are a set of really great projects. Can you just give a quick thumbnail sketch about what the city is planning to do in the island, just so folks who might be not from the Bay Area understand the import of what's going on?
Sure. So currently on the island, we as an agency have a project called Westside Bridges, where there are 7 bridges that are on the island that provide roadway usability, and they are seismically deficient. And so we are currently in construction right now, removing 7 of these bridges and retrofitting 1. It's causing us to have to dig into the hillside of the island. So Treasure Island and Yerba Buena Island are adjacent to each other, and most people just think of it as Treasure Island. Treasure Island is the flat landfill island that has a lot of historical significance with the World's Fair and then later naval base. That base is now closed, and there's housing that is being developed now with the objective of about 8,000 units to be built between now and I believe it's 2034, 2035. And so the work that we're doing is in support of that future residential development by providing the backbone infrastructure to support it. There are currently 2,000 residents on the island. So it's a significant increase to go from 2,000 residents to 8,000 additional units. We just opened this past year, or 2023, an off-ramp coming off of the Bay Bridge going from San Francisco to Oakland. In the past, you would exit on the left, far left lane, number 1 lane to go into the island. We have closed that exit off. Now it's on the far right lane to exit onto the island. But what that also did, it provided better bicycle access, but not the utmost, not the class 1 bicycle access. But if you're coming from Oakland and traversing to San Francisco, you can, from Oakland to the island, which is in the middle of the bay, you can ride your bicycle to the island. We now have a way, we've provided better connectivity so that people can traverse via bicycle, but there's some steep stretches, and then you could land at the ferry terminal, a small ferry that's operated by the developer, and you can traverse from that ferry terminal to the ferry terminal in San Francisco proper. So what this will do, it develops the southern side of the island, and ultimately this multi-use path will provide better bicycle access, so not as steep of a travel, and will encourage more not only residents to utilize bicycles and walking, but the ultimate goal is to have about 50% of travel to be not in a car. So we're trying to embark upon that goal and in hopes of being able to facilitate that. So a lot's in store, and I know I only had 2 minutes. I appreciate the question because it allowed me to say more about the significance and the excitement that I enjoy each day working on these projects.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Yes,
Just real
Commissioner
quick.
Cruz.
No, just a comment mostly is I appreciate the work that's being done on the Yerba Buena and Treasure Island. I mean, there's some of the most incredible views of San Francisco and the East Bay. If you ever get a chance to go to especially Yerba Buena. You know, my dad was the person in charge of facilitating the transfer from the Navy to the city and county of San Francisco of the islands under Willie Brown when he was mayor of San Francisco. So I know that island pretty well, and thank you for all the improvements you guys are doing to it.
Love the emphasis on how these improvements touch so many of our lives. Thank you for sharing that. And this is an action item. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Grisby. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Tiffany. And again, our virtual participating commissioners, please text me or just take yourselves off of mute when you do want to weigh in. With that, we have a motion and a second. Are there any further comments? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you. 133 through 135, I believe, is next. Oh, okay. I thought, oh, thank you for that clarification. So we will take 133 first. Is that correct? Yes. And that is Kenneth Lopez virtually. Kenneth, your record so far is about 9 seconds. Can you do 8?
I'll try. Commissioners, tab 133 is a multi-funded Proposition 1B Stay Route 99 and Trade Corridor Enhancement Program allocation request for $39,039,000 the Tulare 6-lane project and Page Avenue Interchange Improvement Project in Tulare County. Staff has reviewed this request and it aligns with the program guidelines, therefore recommends approval.
Thank you. First, do we have speakers online?
Not seeing anybody online requesting to comment on the item.
Great. And we do have 2 speaker cards in the room. If they could please come forward. Oh, okay. The first would like to just see how it goes. Would either of the speakers like to speak or see how it goes? Okay, they're waiving their right to speak. Commissioners, any comments? And we would be looking for a motion on this.
Motion approved.
Okay.
Second.
Commissioner Bradshaw made the motion. The second was by Commissioner Eager. Any other commissioner comment before we go to a vote? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? And that passes unanimously. Moving on to 134 and 135 for active transportation program post-fact time extensions. And is that Alika?
Yes, it'll be me, Chair.
Oh, there you are. Good to see you. Thank you for
Great to
joining.
see you. Commissioners, I will present tabs 134 and 135 with a recommendation at the end. Tab 134 is an action item to consider 2 post-fact project allocation time extension amendments for Alameda County's East Luling Boulevard Safe and Complete Street for Active Transportation Project and the City of Porterville's Butterfield Stage Corridor Project. Both agencies are requesting post-fact amendments due to miscommunication with Caltrans regarding their project allocation deadlines. To address these challenges, Caltrans will be updating their active transportation program project programming process by requiring attendance of the Next Steps workshops for all programmed agencies and districts and will also track attendance. To address new untrained staff, these mandatory workshops will be held every other year to align with each program cycle's new set of programmed projects. These projects have submitted concurrent requests for construction allocation under tab 135. Please make note of the minor changes to the book item attachment as reflected in the change list. Tab 135 is an action item to approve allocations of $53,866,000 for 28 locally administered active transportation program projects. Please make note of the minor changes to the book item attachment as reflected in the change list. Commissioners, staff has reviewed tabs 134 and 135 and recommends your approval.
Thank you, Alika. Stay on the line. Do we have any online speakers on this item?
I see no request to comment on these items.
Okay, anyone in the room? Seeing none, commissioners, this is these are two action items, comments or motions. Commissioner Tiffany.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. And I'm also looking online for our virtual colleague participants. And Commissioner Bradshaw?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Tiffany, a second by Commissioner Bradshaw. Is there any further discussion on this item? Great. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes unanimously. I believe we're now going to 142, but we've skipped around a bit. Is that accurate? Wonderful. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So I'm glad I got that right. We're going to 142 with Kayla. Kayla, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I will be presenting tabs 142 through 158 with a vote at the end. Tabs 142 through 158 are standard time extension requests for projects from the following programs: SHOP, STIP, Local Partnership Competitive and Formula Programs, Trade Corridor Enhancement Program, Active Transportation Program, and Transit and Intercity Rail and Capital Program. Staff has reviewed these requests and recommends approval of tabs 142 through 158.
Do we have any online comments, Justin?
No request to comment from our virtual attendees.
Thank you, Justin. Any in the room, Doug? Not seeing none. Commissioners, comments or motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Bradshaw.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tiffany. Thank you. Any further discussion? With that, all those in favor of approving staff recommendation for items 142 through 158, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Great. With that, we're moving on to time extension amendments with Jaden Gales. Jaden?
I will also be presenting tabs 159 through 163.
Thank you, Kayla.
Commissioners, tabs 159 through 163 are amended time extension requests for projects from the following programs: SHOP, STIP, Trade Corridor Enhancement Program, and Transit and Intercity Rail and Capital Program. Staff has reviewed these requests and recommends approval of tabs 159 through 163.
Thank you, Kayla. Do we have any online speakers?
I don't see any request to comment on these items.
Thank you, Justin. Anyone in the room? Thank you, Douglas. Commissioners, what is your pleasure? Comments or motion? Commissioner Cruz moves 159 through 163. Chair Eager makes the second. Commissioners Tiffany and Bradshaw, did you have comments?
No, I was going to do a,
Thank you, sir.
double second
Thank you.
or a triple threat
We
or
appreciate
four
your
Carls. I don't know. I'm all confused now.
Everybody
love
makes
it.
a second.
Yeah.
Oh.
Build housing. I know that. Let's do that.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That passes unanimously. Our last item, as always, is public comment. Would any member of the public like to speak on any item that was not on our agenda these past 2 days? Is there anything that we would like to adjourn in memory of or in celebration of? Yes, Commissioner Bradshaw.
Food for thought, at the pleasure of fellow commissioners. I'd like us to adjourn today just with a moment of reflection on how our roles in this commission and is really at the fulcrum point, if you like, or intersection of all of the challenges, which are also opportunities for our state: environment, housing crisis, transportation, economic opportunity, equity, right? Doing our best to amend the past while we build a bright future for all. You know that all of these things come together here. While we don't have authority over everything, certainly everything happening with our communities, with the environment, with housing, again, equity, economic programs to pull up and not push down. You know, it's real serious business. And, you know, again, honored to serve here. I'm humbled to serve with this group. And, but I thought it'd be good to reflect on all that because a lot of our fellow residents, brothers and sisters out there are suffering tonight as the sun sets. And I think it's good to reflect on that, and certainly helps me keep some humility.
So well articulated. Those of us on this podium and most of us in this room are so blessed financially when so many are not. So we have a responsibility to appreciate our blessings, but to help others who are in need. You are so articulate, Commissioner Bradshaw. Thank you. With that, the March 21 and 22 hearings of the California Transportation Commission are adjourned with our deep appreciation to our professional staff, our Caltrans colleagues, and our stakeholders.